What's up, my friends? It is Mr. Gallows, of course, and welcome back to another Fresh from the Theater reaction. Well, I'm sure all of you have got some pretty strange expressions on your face right now, and you're probably wondering why I'm sitting here shirtless. Well, there's two reasons for that. One is because I'm doing a bit of cross-promotion for my brand new food review channel, Bare Boobs. If you guys don't know about that already, yes, I have moved my food reviews to a separate channel. I do beautiful bare-chested food reviews. You can find that. It's linked right on my homepage. You can see that right under the featured channels there, so go ahead and click that. And the second reason I'm sitting here like this today is because I'm actually naked. I mean, I swear to God, I'm not glowing. I'm just this white. Yeah, guys, this movie is pretty awesome. And you know, I mean, I didn't know that much about this movie going into it. I went into this film completely fresh. I didn't know what to expect after Endgame. I didn't know how they were going to progress the story at all after Endgame. And I was pleasantly surprised to learn that this is kind of like a superhero road trip movie. There's a road trip element going on here. It takes place in a different country, you know, not to get into spoilers or anything, but you know, they're in a different country, they're doing different things. There's different elements going on in this movie that I didn't expect. And to back that up, man, was this great cast. I mean, seriously, Tom Holland has always been good as Spider-Man. The girl who played MJ was really good. They had great chemistry together. And also, I was really surprised to learn, I didn't know this at all, Jake Gyllenhaal played Mysterio, and I thought that was really cool, although it wasn't, you know, Mysterio is kind of like a little bit of a lackluster villain, unfortunately, and we'll get into that in a little bit. But the overall cast really meshed well together, and it brought a lot of life to this movie because there's a lot of different elements going into this movie. They're not just superhero elements, because you have to remember, you know, this is a young Spider-Man, right? So he's going through this transitional phase in his life where a lot of new things are coming. And, you know, it's not just the villains and the superhero aspect to the movie, but there's a lot of, like, teenage stuff going in this movie. It's a good, like, teenage movie, like, it's almost, like, got a lot of, like, coming-of-age elements to it, which were really, really fantastic and well done. Another really amazing aspect about this movie that I really enjoyed, and this is something that I look for in every movie, no matter what the genre is these days, I always look for heart, charm, and humor, man. If you got a lot of heart, you got a lot of charm, and you got a lot of great humor, this movie is going to work. And this movie has it. There are a lot of events that happen in this movie, like I said, that aren't related to the superhero stuff, that happen during the more down times of the movie, the more like quieter moments of the movie, and there is so much charm and heart, and it makes you feel for these characters and the situations that they eventually get themselves in, so it actually gives weight to the situations. There's actually drama. There's actually a little bit of suspense. You don't know if the characters are going to get out of it. It's one of those movies where you're watching, it's like, oh my god, like, how are they going to get out of this situation? How are they going to figure this out? There's a lot of elements going into this movie that are very, very, supportive of their own characters, I guess you could say, which means that it builds up the characters. And there's actually a lot of character development going on in this movie so that you care about what's going on. And yeah, the humor was good too. You know, Marvel movies always have good humor. This one was kind of, you know, just like your basic Marvel humor, but it worked because they kind of conditioned it, again, for that like teenaged, angsty kind of feel that this movie has. They conditioned the comedy for that. And again, it's in, you know, taking place in different countries, so there's all those different, you know, aspects to it too. And the humor really worked. It was very, very funny. And so it just, you know, yeah, a lot of heart and charm in this movie. And that's perfect for Tom Holland because he's perfect at portraying this young Spider-Man. He was perfectly cast in the role. And it's perfect for Spider-Man in general for this, you know, section of his life. And of course, how can we talk about a Marvel movie without talking about the always amazing action sequences? And once again, in this movie, they are outstanding. And you know what it reminded me of, personally at least, is like a lot of the old animated cartoons, like the old Spider-Man animations. You know, a lot of those animations, those old school animated cartoons back in the day, had a lot of great action sequences. And when you watch these action sequences, it's like they're pulling right out of the old school animations or right out of the graphic novels, the Spider-Man comic books and stuff like that. And it's like watching a comic book come to life. They're really, really well executed action sequences that pay homage to what Spider-Man and even like Mysterio and characters like that are supposed to be, or at least how I envision they're supposed to be. Because like I said, you know, a lot of you guys know I didn't grow up with superheroes. I'm kind of a late bloomer to the Marvel Universe. I'm a new fan to the Marvel Universe. So at least as I saw these action sequences play out, they were perfectly developed for their characters. Again, they're paying attention to the character's specifics. Just like, you know how Spider-Man was represented as this like goofball and stuff like that, right? They do that with all of these characters so that they perfectly fit their roles. And what's going on around them is these great choreographed action sequences with a lot of surprises and a lot of cool stuff to see. And man, it was just a blast to watch. And, you know, can we just stop for a second and talk about Jake Gyllenhaal as Mysterio? I mean, he deserves, like, his own little segment here in this video because, I mean, look, I understand that a lot of people will probably think there's a lot of aspects about him, you know, mostly pertaining to the storyline that are a little bit lackluster, but Jake Gyllenhaal was phenomenal as Mysterio. I think Mysterio might be my favorite Marvel villain so far, and it's not just because I'm a Jake Gyllenhaal fan. It's just the chemistry that he has with Tom Holland, you know, Spider-Man obviously, and also with all the characters. He has great chemistry with everybody, and the way he's portrayed on screen, the powers that we see, and the dynamics surrounding his character, how his character is executed on screen, Jake Gyllenhaal gives an A+ performance. It's just that the storylines surrounding him can be a little bit lackluster, and that's what I'm going to talk about next. So yeah, 3 words to describe this Spider-Man movie: fun, 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 right? I mean, also a great Beach Boys hit, but you know, fun, fun, fun doesn't get you all the way to 100%, unfortunately, because, you know, now's the time where I have to talk about a couple things that I didn't like about the movie, and it wasn't, you know, it wasn't that it made me, like, you know, dislike the movie more, but I just feel like the film could have been so much better if they had brought a better storyline in, because while the story is fun, it's just a cookie-cutter, basic, vanilla Marvel movie. And I'm sorry, like, it's like, that's just a little bit lazy. It just felt a little bit lazy to me. It felt like the movie retained a certain bit of, like, hollowness because they didn't push it that extra, they didn't push it over the edge. They just went with the basic Marvel formula. And that was honestly kind of disappointing to me. And the second thing that I didn't like about that, going along with that, is that because of that, it didn't feel like a regular Marvel movie. It almost shared, and I know some people are going to start throwing tomatoes at me for this, but, you know, it almost shared some elements of Captain Marvel. Not that this film is anywhere near as bad as Captain Marvel was, but I just mean that, like it didn't feel like it's part of the Marvel universe. It just doesn't quite feel like it's there. Like I said, it just, like, there's something about it that's missing that doesn't quite feel like a Marvel movie. And I think that came from this very basic story that they decided to go with, which ultimately ended up kind of being disappointed, and that's why I was a little bit disappointed. So what's going to be my final overall score for Spider-Man Far From Home? Well, we'll go with a solid 75%. Yeah, guys, I had to knock off 25% because, you know, look, Spider-Man Far From Home, in a nutshell, is a fun story to watch. It's a blast. It's a great Spider-Man story, but if they just didn't follow that basic vanilla Marvel formula, the movie could have been so much better. So if you're looking to see something brand new in terms of the Marvel universe, like a movie that really needed to justify its own existence, this may not be the movie for you, because even though it is really, really fun to watch, the rest of it kind of isn't there. And I wanted to see, anytime I go to see a Marvel movie, I want to see something new and I want to see something fresh. I don't want to see them go with the cookie cutter formula, and unfortunately that's what this was. So, but I still highly recommend that you guys see this. You don't necessarily have to see it in the theater, although it does have some great action sequences, but this is definitely worth a watch. It is really, it's just a total blast. It's a fun summertime movie. Go have some fun with it. Well, my friends, that's going to do it for my fresh from the theater reaction to Spider-Man Far From Home. Now it's time for you guys to leave all of your thoughts, opinions, and your scores, of course, down below in the Great White Void. And as always, until next we meet, take care, and I'll see you guys back here for the next review very soon. Now it's time for me to get my own Spidey senses and Spidey powers working. That's right. Spidey, Spidey, Spidey. That's what I do. In spite of my Spidey, I am the new Spidey. So let's see if I can get these to work here. I mean, this is how he does it, right? Like I said, I'm not that familiar with the Marvel Universe. This is how he does it, right? I mean, it just doesn't, you know... I have these powers too. I get bitten by spiders all the time. I know you guys are looking at me strange. I get bitten by spiders all the time, alright? One of them's got to be radioactive. There's a power plant right over there. You know what I mean? It just isn't, you know, it just isn't... Something isn't going on to the... Oh my god! It worked! It worked! It's attached to the wall!